When it comes to US politics, we're used to Donald Trump being the master of exaggeration. The economy is the greatest in the history of our country. That's an actual quote. The military is the most powerful it's ever been. That's also an actual quote. Regulations have been cut at record rates in America. Under Trump was winning like never before under him. Winning so much, in fact, that actually some people want us to stop winning. He also said that too. But it turns out that the president today, Joe Biden, is also pretty good at hyperbole. Here he is speaking about events in Gaza to Speedy Mormon on the Complex YouTube channel.
Well, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. And the Zionist is about whether or not Israel is a safe haven for Jews because of their history of how they've been persecuted.
Are you a Zionist?
Yes. Now, you'll be able to make a lot out of it because people don't know what a Zionist is. Do you know what a Zionist is?
I just ask questions, I don't answer.
By the way, I'm the guy that did more for the Palestinian community than anybody. I'm the guy that opened up all the assets. I'm the guy that made sure that I got the Egyptians to open the border to let good goods through, medicine and food. But what's happening is, and I'm the guy that's been able to pull together the Arab states to agree to help the Palestinians with food and shelter. I'm the guy, and so it's not, I mean,
I'm the guy, and so it's like looking at your phone and there's no battery left. By the way, I'm the guy that did more for the Palestinian community than anybody. I'm the guy. A lot of people are saying it. I'm the guy that did a lot for the Palestinians. But it's not Trump saying it. It's Joe Biden. I got the Egyptians to open the border and let the goods through. I'm the guy that agreed to pull together all the Arab states to help the Palestinians. This is obviously gibberish. I have no idea what he means by opening up all the assets. And look, I may be wrong. Maybe he did something with assets. I don't know. Put it in the comments. Maybe I'm being completely unfair. What I do know is Biden did play something of a role in reopening the Rafah crossing. Okay, one thing he just said there makes some sense. There's just one problem, Joe. Israel keeps bombing the Rafah crossing, including with bombs made in America. And that's the issue here. The Biden administration is Israel's chief ally in a war which has killed at least 40,000 people in Gaza. Maybe many more. In April, his administration approved a bill to provide $26 billion in additional wartime aid to Israel. I'm helping Palestinians so much that I'm funding and financing a genocidal war against them. They love me. And in that interview, Biden talks about getting food into Gaza and how he's responsible for that. Here's the thing, Joe. People in Gaza aren't eating 3 square meals a day. Just last week, the United Nations declared that, quote, famine has spread across the entire Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, he's literally trumpeting his achievements and how good he's been for Palestinians, and people are starving and children are being decapitated. This isn't hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating what he's saying. You saw that clip. It's what came out of his mouth. Now, is this the result of Biden's cognitive decline or just his long-standing views? I suspect it's both. But really, it doesn't matter, because what's important here is that objectively, he has been a disaster for the people of Palestine. But according to Uncle Joe, he's been the best. And like I say, can you imagine if Trump said this and what the response would be? 40,000 people have died and many more are starving, but I've been fantastic for all of them. A lot of people are saying it. The media would rightly highlight how utterly ludicrous that is. We'd hear endless talking points about post-truth and how such a man is a threat to democracy. And yet, when Joe Biden is doing it, crickets, tumbleweed, white noise. Now, this isn't an endorsement of anyone. I obviously think Biden is a better candidate than Trump, particularly from the perspective of the climate agenda. Donald Trump, frankly, wants to burn as many fossil fuels as quickly as possible. But it's genuinely hard to conceive of Trump saying anything more absurd than what we just watched. And that, for me, compounds a really important point. Democrats defending this rhetoric are no better than QAnon. Biden is objectively making no sense. And if you're defending something which sounds like Benjamin Netanyahu's granddad on LSD while suffering from acute sleep deprivation, I can't help you. And it gets to the heart of a phenomenon highlighted by Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, and that is Blue MAGA. Namely, those diehard Democrats that think Uncle Joe can do no wrong, even when a genocide is happening on his watch, which he's helping arm and finance, and approvingly nod when he says he's been such great news for the people of Gaza. Helena, 2 questions. Is Blue MAGA a thing? And I know it's boring to say it, but how would the media have responded if Donald Trump had said something so A, utterly incoherent, but B, so profoundly untrue?
I mean, Blue MAGA was 100% a thing. It was 100% a thing. I mean, we saw them all the way back in 2016, right, during the Democratic primaries, going, oh no, the Bernie bros, they're so awful on the internet. How dare they try and smear Hillary Clinton for, all of the things that she's said and done when she was in government, and all of the failures that led to in terms of their election strategy. They're exactly the same as the kind of types that you see with hashtag GTTO in their Twitter bio, for example. The same people who say, well, you can't criticize Keir Starmer on his attitude towards Gaza and Palestine because you're just helping the Conservative Party, in the same way that they'll say the exact same thing. Oh, you can't criticize Joe Biden. You're just helping Trump, right? Are you a secret Trumpist by criticizing Joe Biden? Even ones who internally have some amount of criticism about what's happening in Palestine, who think how awful it is, how unconscionable it is. Oh, well, Joe Biden, he's got no other choice. He's got no choice. He can't really do anything other than just sit here whilst funneling you billions of dollars worth of aid by passing Congress to be able to do it as well. When we already have plenty of evidence that there is plenty of reason with which we know that American presidents have a lot of leverage over pretty profligate Israeli prime ministers from what happened in the 1980s Lebanon war. Reagan calls up, like a GOP president calls up the prime minister of Israel and says, this isn't war, this is a Holocaust. And they say, we'll continue doing it. So this war stops now. And the war was called off 2 days later, right? There was plenty of pressure that the USA could be applying to the Israeli government to try and stop what's happening in Palestine right now, which would be doing more for the Palestinians than anybody else, as he claims wanting to do. But when you look at it, it's clearly nonsense. The other half of the kind of Blue MAGA thing you have going on is the reaction to people saying that Joe Biden should drop out. They are taking it as a personal attack on their personal hero, the man who defeated Donald Trump at the last election, because there's a fear response. There's a fear about what happens when you don't have this large united front, absence of, even basic material criticism, when the biggest criticism of Joe Biden still being the Democratic nominee for this election isn't that, of course, he is bad and he's done loads of bad things, is that he's not going to beat Trump. He's not going to beat Trump. He's not going to beat Trump. All of the Senate races and all of the key swing states, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, right? The Senate candidates are all way ahead, and Joe Biden is behind by all of them. The biggest thing people tell polling companies that they have a problem with about Joe Biden is his age. He absolutely has to drop out. And the Blue MAGA types, they won't hear it. They can't hear any criticism, despite the fact that it's obvious to everybody. And it's going to make their lives worse because they genuinely fear the thing that's going to come to pass if Joe Biden remains the nominee. They're completely divorced from reality, just as you say, are our press, right? When people they believe to be statesman-like, right? That's basically their barometer for whether somebody's word should be taken seriously. Do they act like a statesman? Not that I think that you can necessarily make as much of a case for Joe Biden as you could for someone like Keir Starmer. But anyway, he's far more statesman-like than Donald Trump is. That is their barometer for whether or not you should take their word seriously or not, rather than indeed the content of the things that they do and say. Crazy things like, I've done more things for the Palestinians than anybody else. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. Yet, just like similar criticisms of both Starmer and Johnson were completely ignored by our press, just the same would those criticisms be completely ignored by Joe Biden does it, but would be absolutely jumped upon if Trump was doing it. It's an identical dynamic that's at play within the US press and in the UK press with these issues.
So true. Just quickly as well, we saw that with the shooting of Trump, didn't we? Some of the conspiracy theories immediately coming from people online, and you'd look at their profile, it was like, some Biden stan, 75-year-old grandmother in Illinois, she's got all the Democrat stuff in the bio, and you think, oh my God, there's a real parallel here, isn't there?